For many years, I was in retail, big box retail. Married into our first restaurant in California, which we still have. Moved here to Montana, wanted to slow down a little pace of life. I wanted a little piece of history, so we bought the sport. Actually had another restaurant in town here for about 2 years. Spent most of my life in the corporate world, but have done cooking all my life. Done some specialty courses, so to speak, and I've always been in a very straight-laced corporate world. So to come here was a very different pace of life, but by no means did I ever believe in anything supernatural. If anything, being raised as a Catholic for 12 years in private school with nuns and priests, so I kind of had all that beat into me to the point where I didn't go atheist, but I didn't necessarily believe in any of that. The dirt on top of the bar was probably 4 inches thick. Mummified mice, it was a real mess in here. The electrical was a wreck, the plumbing was a wreck, so we put a lot of time and money into it. And that's probably when I first started to see the strange things, I'd be working behind the bar and have my drill and a bag of screws at one place, and I'd be shoring up shelving, and I'd reach up, grab another screw, put it in place, reach back up for my drill, and it's 20 feet down the bar. And that would happen time and time and time again. The first few times I blamed it on fatigue and being here late at night, but then it would happen in the middle of the day. Either it was a bag of screws or it was a drill or whatever. Had a lot of things with lights flickering, even after we just had all the electrical in it. Lights used to flicker a little bit before, but it had very old wiring. All that old cloth wrap wiring, which was probably shorting out everywhere. Little things here and there, like you turn off the bathroom lights and you'd be closing up for the night and checking the bathroom lights on again. And all that kind of stuff, I still blamed away on whatever it might be. Mechanical stuff, I always couldn't really say much. Not too long after that, we were in here and I was training a new bartender, and there was one other couple in here, and I noticed a fork or a knife on the floor. I think it was a fork. The only table missing on a fork from its setup was probably 12 feet away. So I went and picked up that fork, and when I came back around the bar, the knife from that table that was missing the fork, didn't just fall, it slid over to where the fork had been. And the table of two looked, and my bartender looked, and I said, "Oh, that's just our ghost, what else are we going to say?" We've been open about 6 months, and I decided we needed to put the pool tables in place. These tables on the far side all used to be 3x3 squares, and it took too much of the space out. So I came in here on a Sunday afternoon and had new tabletops made that are narrower to give us more space. And I took the first 3 tabletops off, and I had them placed over there against the wall leaning so that if they fell, they'd fall flat and not come back and mess up the tops. And as I was taking the 4th tabletop off, there was a loud boom, and I looked over the tables, they'd all fallen, which was no big deal till I got over there. They'd fallen flat against their face, which at about 45 pounds apiece, that's 150 pounds to come back on itself, which was strange enough. But right when I stood the 3 tabletops up, I turned around and the 3 table bases that I had removed the tabletops from were standing on end in a perfect row.
Without a sound?
Oh, without a sound in the course of less than a minute. And it still gives me goosebumps. So I kind of looked at them, and it was the middle of the afternoon, on a Sunday afternoon. I was the only one in here, and I called my wife and said, "You're not going to believe what just happened." She said, "Well, what did the dogs do?" And I said, "The dogs are out in the truck." She says, "Well, let them in. Like, the golden retriever's going to, ward them off." But I went to let my dogs in, and they wouldn't come in the front door, and they love to come in here. They're looking for French fries, looking for a crumb. But something, when I gave them the heebie-jeebies, they wouldn't come in the front door. They just froze there, and the door wide open. So I closed up, shut her down, and got out of here. And then when I came, I got a phone call the next morning from Molly, our manager. And between the time I left and the time she came in the morning, every bottle in the bar had been turned around, label facing backwards.
Top and bottom.
Top and bottom, but yeah, everything. Everything, even the empty display bottles. Everything was just backwards. So it's, you know, there's been a lot of just strange stuff. Well, the only thing that did happen in regards to that side of me is roughly 2 months ago, myself and 2 other employees, I was on the other side of the bar, and 2 employees were here and they had it back, and there were no customers in here. And both those doors just opened and came back. They're heavy doors. Usually one of them's locked in place, so just the other one goes. So I thought, what, did a customer just walk through and go to the bathroom? And I opened the door and looked, and I could see the light was on in the ladies' room under the door. So I immediately went over there, thinking, you know, I didn't even see a customer in here. Went to the ladies' room door, you know, it was unlocked, I tapped, opened the door, and the light was on, and turned off the light, but there was nobody next door. And there's no draft that could open those doors, it was heavy. So that was just kind of, you know, one of my employees is up, you done pissed her off again. So, she said that a lot, so who knows. I've been able to pick up some good old pictures of the sport, you know, 85 to 100-year-old pictures that, you know, pictures of inside here, because a lot of them either the parents owned it or worked here, or the kids used to get ice cream Sundays here. But there's also been things in there that I've been able to pick up about, I guess there were 3 confirmed gunfights in here at one point during the century, and one of them resulted in a death. Later on, I heard from Bill Taylor that a guy actually bled out on this side of the bar. Back when they used to open the kegs, I believe it was 50 or 51, they used to have to open the kegs with a hammer and a spike and then cap it off. And I guess when the pressure, he went to open the keg and the spike came back and tore his throat out, and he ended up bleeding out here. And the most recent one came from, I believe, a customer that told Viola, one of our servers, you know, a lady had shot her husband, recently had died in prison, served her time for that.
You said you thought there was bullet holes in the ceiling.
Back here, there's a few that are all just puncture holes. The guys that did all our steel work were the ones that were able to tell me that's what it looked mostly like. There's a few. It's an old ceiling. We'll be sitting here talking like this, and you'll hear pans clanking in the kitchen for no reason. Just a loud crash type sound. I don't really know what it is. As long as the spears don't start coming off the walls at me, or the animals don't start talking, I'm okay.